Welcome back to the community of the light, chosen one. You are not here by accident. Heaven has aligned this exact moment with divine precision. Your spirit was summoned because you are standing on the threshold of a supernatural reversal, a financial breaking open, a wealth transfer stamped with your name, anointed one. The warfare you have endured, the isolation you have walked through, the betrayal you have survived. This was not punishment. This was the proof of what is coming. God is positioning you just as Isaiah declares that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. This message is not information. It is activation. Breathe in, steady your spirit, and prepare yourself. What you are about to hear will shift the atmosphere around your life, unlock doors that have been closed, and expose what heaven has been orchestrating behind the scenes while you were in the valley. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every destiny-shaped life when heaven pulls back the veil and reveals what has been happening behind the scenes. This is one of those moments for you. You are not listening to this by coincidence. You were drawn here because your spirit has reached a threshold. A turning point where the jealousy of others is no longer a burden but a confirmation. The very opposition that once felt like a curse has now become undeniable evidence that you carry something rare, something weighty, something heaven-marked. And even though the attacks have been loud, you are stepping into a season where heaven answers louder. The whispers that tried to diminish you are about to be drowned out by a roar of divine favor. The hands that tried to push you down are about to be forced to watch you rise. The voices that spoke against you are about to go silent in the presence of what God is about to do through you. For so long, anointed one, you have walked into rooms that could barely hold the fullness of who you are. People felt you before they saw you. They reacted to your presence before you even spoke, and many of them did not react with celebration. They reacted with fear, envy, and confusion. You have lived much of your life being misunderstood by those who lacked spiritual eyesight. They could sense your calling but not comprehend it. They could feel your light but not honor it. And because they could not understand you, they tried to contain you, silence you, or surround you with voices that were smaller, weaker, and easier to manage. You know exactly what I am talking about. The moments when you walked into a space and felt the atmosphere shift. The conversations that stopped when you arrived. The opportunities that mysteriously disappeared when your name was mentioned. The friendships that cooled when your progress became visible. The support that vanished when your elevation became undeniable. You felt it all, and it confused you because you were not trying to compete. You were not trying to outshine. You were not trying to take anything from anyone. You were simply being yourself. And that alone was enough to trigger a response you never asked for. But here is the prophetic truth. Heaven is releasing over you in this moment. You were never meant to be contained. You were never meant to stay in rooms where people were intimidated by the grace God put on your life. You were never meant to lower your volume so that insecure souls could feel comfortable. Heaven designed you to disrupt atmospheres, to shift spiritual climates, to expose what is weak simply by existing in your authenticity. And this is exactly why they gathered against you, not because you failed, but because you rose. If you are feeling this in your spirit right now, go ahead and leave a comment. Let the universe know you are ready for what is coming. Your words carry power. Chosen one, when jealousy gathers, it always gathers in groups. The insecure rarely attack alone. They need numbers because individually they do not possess the courage to confront someone who carries real spiritual authority. They whisper to each other in hopes that their shared bitterness will make them feel stronger, not realizing that their alliance reveals their weakness. And though they thought they were plotting against you, they were actually constructing the foundation of their own downfall. What they meant as sabotage has now become the evidence heaven is using to elevate you. Here is what they never understood. Jealousy is not triggered by failure. Jealousy is triggered by potential. They did not come after you because you were doing something wrong. They came after you because they could see something forming in you that they knew they could never manufacture in themselves. Your authenticity threatened their performance. Your peace exposed their chaos. Your progress revealed their stagnation. Your light made their darkness visible, and instead of asking for the light, they tried to blow out your candle. I want you to hear this clearly. You did not provoke their jealousy. Your existence did. The purity of your intentions, the steadiness of your spirit, the grace on your life, this is what triggered them. You were not chasing the spotlight, yet your presence illuminated every hidden insecurity in their hearts. You walked with humility, and your humility exposed their pride. You kept moving in silence, and your silence revealed the emptiness of their noise. You were not trying to be greater than them, but the greatness inside you made them realize how small their motives were. They measured themselves by what they could take. You measured yourself by what you could give. They built their identity on who was watching. You built your identity on who was within you, and that difference became the unbearable mirror they could not escape. This is why heaven allowed their jealousy to surface. It was never to shame you. It was to reveal what had been hidden. For years, some people around you pretended to support you while secretly competing with you. They pretended to clap for you while secretly hoping you would shrink. They pretended to be close to you while secretly plotting how to distance you from opportunities. They smiled in your face while speaking poison behind your back. They asked for your prayers while celebrating your setbacks. They requested your wisdom while undermining your credibility. And yet heaven allowed their masks to slip, not because you needed to see their true nature, but because your next season cannot contain false alliances. There is a divine separation unfolding in your life, and you need to understand that this is not random. This is strategic. This is intentional. This is heaven doing surgery on your circle, removing what has been draining your anointing, blocking your flow, and contaminating your atmosphere. And though it may feel painful, it is not loss, it is pruning. A tree cannot bear greater fruit without the removal of dead branches. A vessel cannot hold new wine without being emptied of old residue. A prophet cannot move into new territory without releasing old attachments. Heaven is removing what cannot walk with you into your next dimension. You are stepping into a level of authority, influence, and even financial breakthrough that cannot be shared with jealous hearts. The transfer God is preparing for you. The kind that shifts your entire story, the kind that rewrites your family's legacy, the kind that establishes your name in rooms you have not yet entered. This transfer requires a circle that is clean, and so the jealous had to expose themselves. They had to fall away. They had to reveal their intentions because heaven will not let anyone claim they contributed to the blessing that is coming to you. Every person who distanced themselves did you a favor. Every door that closed on you was protecting you from a room that would have poisoned your purpose. Every relationship that ended was making space for a connection that will actually honor who you are becoming. You did not lose anything. You gained discernment, clarity, and divine alignment. Chosen one, I know the weight you have carried. I know what it feels like to walk into environments where people study you like a threat instead of embracing you like a blessing. I know the ache of knowing you have never harmed anyone yet. You became the target of their insecurities. I know the confusion of wondering why certain people united against you when you simply wanted peace. But I also know this: heaven has been watching. Every tear, every betrayal, every lonely moment, none of it was wasted. The rejection you endured became the pathway to revelation. The isolation you walked through became the womb for your transformation. And now you are standing at the edge of a supernatural reversal. This is not just about enemies falling. It is about you rising into what has been reserved for you. Their jealousy was the final confirmation that your spiritual ranking is shifting. Every attack signaled a new level. Every whisper unlocked another layer of favor. Every attempt to shrink you only proved heaven had already expanded you. You are stepping into a season where the very people who tried to bury you will witness your elevation, not out of vengeance, but out of divine demonstration. Heaven is about to make it clear that what is anointed cannot be overthrown, and what is chosen cannot be replaced. The jealous groups that once felt powerful will now crumble under the weight of their own intentions, because jealousy has never won against destiny. And you, anointed one, are destiny in motion. Take a moment to breathe. If this message is resonating with your spirit, show your agreement. Drop a like so this reaches others who need to hear it. You are part of a movement larger than yourself, chosen one. There is a moment in every spiritually awakened life when heaven begins to expose what the natural world has tried to hide. You are living in that moment right now. The jealousy you have endured is not random. The resistance you have faced is not misfortune. The unusual weight on your life is not coincidence. Everything you have walked through has been part of a divine unveiling, a celestial revelation meant to show you who you truly are and what you truly carry. Whenever God prepares someone for a supernatural ascent, the atmosphere around them begins to shift, sometimes violently. People change, circles shake, relationships unravel, envy rises, not because you have done anything wrong, but because your spirit has outgrown the environments that once tolerated you. Heaven is maturing you, stretching you, and positioning you for a level of influence, visibility, and spiritual authority that your old surroundings simply cannot hold. This is why you have felt so out of place. This is why certain spaces now feel suffocating. This is why some voices that once comforted you now grate against your spirit. You are not regressing. You are expanding. This is why jealousy often erupts right before a breakthrough. It is a spiritual indicator that your elevation has already begun in the heavenly realm and is about to manifest in the earthly realm. Jealous people can feel your shift before you even recognize it. They sense the new doors opening for you. They feel the weight of the favor on your life. They pick up on the expansion happening in your spirit, even if they cannot articulate it. And because they cannot ascend with you, they attempt to pull you back down. That is the nature of insecurity. It sabotages what it cannot become. It attacks what it cannot control. It resents what it cannot replicate. But hear this clearly, chosen one. No one can steal what heaven has placed on your life. No jealousy can cancel your assignment. No whisper can tear down what God is building inside of you. No alliance formed against you can delay what has already been ordained in heaven. Their resistance is not proof that you are wrong. It is proof that you are right. It is proof that heaven chose correctly. It is proof that the light inside of you is too bright for them to ignore and too authentic for them to compete with. They can see what is coming for you even when you cannot see it yet, and it terrifies them. The jealousy you faced was never about what you did. It was always about who you are. It was about the anointing on your life, the grace in your walk, the authority in your presence, the purity in your heart. They could sense something on you that they did not have access to, and instead of celebrating it, they resented it. Instead of learning from it, they feared it. Instead of honoring you, they attempted to humble you. But what they did not understand is that heaven had already humbled you in private so that no person could do it in public. You were broken before you were built. You were emptied before you were filled. You were lowered before you were lifted. You were refined in isolation. You were tested in silence. You were broken in secret. And through all of that, heaven was building something inside of you that cannot be duplicated, manipulated, or contaminated by human jealousy. This is why their attacks did not destroy you. This is why their plots did not derail you. This is why their whispers did not silence you. You were being held by something greater than anything they could orchestrate. You were being covered by a grace they could not see. You were being strengthened by a fire they did not even know existed. I need you to understand that the jealousy surrounding you was a divine setup. Heaven allowed it to surface so you could see who was really for you and who was only pretending. Heaven allowed it to escalate so you could recognize the weight of what you carry. Heaven allowed it to intensify so that when your breakthrough arrives, no one will be confused about whose hand was in it. Your elevation will be so undeniable that even your enemies will have to acknowledge that God did this. They will search for explanations. They will look for connections. They will try to rationalize how you went from being targeted to being celebrated, but they will find nothing except the fingerprint of heaven on your life. Chosen one. The group that came against you thought they were powerful because they had numbers. But heaven does not measure power by how many people stand with you. Heaven measures power by how many storms you can withstand alone, and you have withstood storms that would have crushed entire groups. You stood when they expected you to fall. You kept your integrity when they expected you to compromise. You maintained your peace when they expected you to break. You held your tongue when they expected you to lash out. You stayed humble when they expected pride. You showed mercy when they expected vengeance. That is not human strength. That is heaven holding you. That is divine restraint. That is supernatural endurance. And now the season is shifting. The very jealousy that tried to tear you down is about to become the platform that lifts you up. Every lie they told will be exposed by the truth heaven is about to reveal. Every door they tried to close will be reopened with greater opportunity. Every relationship they tried to poison will be replaced with divine connections that actually honor your calling. You are not losing anything. You are gaining clarity, alignment, and acceleration. What looked like subtraction was actually multiplication in disguise. Heaven is saying that what is coming to you now cannot be delayed by human interference. The transfer has been released. The elevation has been ordained. The breakthrough has been stamped with your name. And every person who tried to block it will now have to watch as heaven moves you into position. Not because you fought them, but because you trusted the process. Not because you defended yourself, but because you let heaven defend you. Not because you proved them wrong, but because heaven is about to prove you right. This transfer I am speaking of is multidimensional. It is financial, yes, but it is so much more than that. It is a transfer of authority where your voice will carry weight in rooms that once dismissed you. It is a transfer of influence where your presence will shift atmospheres that once rejected you. It is a transfer of relationships where divine connections will seek you out instead of you chasing after validation. It is a transfer of favor where doors will open that you did not even knock on. It is a transfer of wisdom where strategies will download into your spirit without you having to strive for them. It is a transfer of peace where the chaos that once consumed you will no longer have access to your inner world. The wealth that is coming to you is not just to elevate your lifestyle. It is to establish your legacy. It is to fund the vision heaven gave you. It is to resource the assignment you have been carrying. It is to position you as a solution provider in the earth. You are not just about to receive a blessing, you are about to become a blessing distribution center. What is being transferred to you is not for you to hoard. It is for you to steward, to multiply, to pour out from a place of overflow. This is why heaven had to mature you first. This is why the jealousy had to refine your character. You are being trusted with something greater than personal gain. You are being positioned for generational impact. If this is speaking to your soul, let me know in the comments. Type, "I am ready," and declare it over your life. When you speak it, you activate it. Chosen one, I want to take you deeper into what heaven is revealing right now. There is a reason this message found you at this specific moment. It is because you are in a transition that very few people will ever understand. You are moving from being misunderstood to being undeniable. You are shifting from being overlooked to being unavoidable. You are stepping out of the shadows of other people's limitations and into the light of your own divine assignment. The jealousy you experienced was not just an attack. It was a test. Heaven was watching to see how you would respond when surrounded by people who wanted to see you fail. Would you lower yourself to their level? Would you retaliate with the same bitterness they showed you? Would you abandon your calling because the cost felt too high? But you did not. You kept your heart pure. You kept your spirit steady. You kept your focus forward. And that is why you are still standing. Anointed one, what you need to understand is that jealousy always targets what it cannot control. They were not jealous of your possessions. They were jealous of your presence. They were not jealous of your success. They were jealous of your peace. They were not jealous of your visibility. They were jealous of your authenticity. You carry something they have spent years trying to fake, and your existence exposed the emptiness of their performance. This is why they could not leave you alone. You were a mirror reflecting everything they were not. You were a standard they could not meet. You were a reminder of what they had compromised, and instead of letting that revelation transform them, they let it consume them. They turned their conviction into competition. They turned their insecurity into sabotage. They turned their jealousy into a weapon. But what they did not realize is that every weapon they formed was only sharpening you for what is next. Chosen one, you are not the same person you were when this journey started. You have been stretched, tested, refined, and matured through every attack. Your discernment is sharper. Your boundaries are clearer. Your purpose is stronger. Your faith is deeper. You are no longer moved by applause or shaken by criticism. You are no longer desperate for acceptance or afraid of rejection. You have learned to walk with heaven as your only witness, and that has made you unstoppable. Something fundamental has shifted in you. The things that used to offend you no longer penetrate. The opinions that used to control you no longer matter. The voices that used to confuse you no longer have influence. The fear that used to paralyze you no longer has power. You have been baptized in fire, and what emerged from that furnace is someone heaven can trust with authority, someone the enemy fears approaching, someone who walks with a confidence that is not arrogance but certainty, someone who knows their worth because they know their source. You see everything differently now. You are not looking for validation in crowds. You are not seeking approval from people who cannot comprehend your assignment. You are not competing with anyone because you understand your lane is divinely assigned. You are not anxious about timing because you trust heaven's calendar. You are not desperate for doors to open because you know the right ones will open when you arrive at them. This peace, this clarity, this settledness in your spirit, this is the evidence that you have graduated from the season of preparation and entered the season of manifestation. Heaven is now ready to reward what you protected in private, the purity you maintained when no one was watching, the integrity you held when everyone was judging, the humility you carried when you had every right to be proud, the forgiveness you extended when you had every reason to be bitter. All of it was being recorded. All of it was being honored. All of it was being prepared for this exact moment. Nothing you went through was wasted. Every tear watered a seed. Every setback set you up. Every closed door positioned you for an open heaven. The transfer that is coming to you is not just financial, though that is part of it. It is a transfer of influence, authority, relationships, opportunities, and spiritual position. You are being moved into rooms you were once kept out of. You are being elevated to levels you were once told you did not deserve. You are being positioned in places where your voice will carry weight and your presence will shift atmospheres. This is not luck. This is alignment. This is heaven making good on every promise whispered to you in your darkest hour. But here is what heaven also wants you to know. As you step into this new season, you must release what is behind you. Forgiveness is not optional, it is required. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. Holding on to bitterness will contaminate the blessing. Holding on to resentment will delay the transfer. Holding on to anger will block the elevation. You must let go, not to condone what they did, but to create space for what God is about to do. Your hands cannot receive new gifts while they are still clenched around old wounds. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. It does not mean giving them access again. It does not mean pretending it did not hurt. It does not mean you forget what happened or trust them again. Forgiveness means releasing them from the debt they owe you so that heaven can repay you in full. It means trusting that God will handle what you could not. It means walking free while they remain bound by the consequences of their own choices. It means closing the door on a chapter that no longer serves your destiny. When you forgive, you are not letting them off the hook. You are removing their ability to live rent-free in your mind, to influence your emotions, to drain your energy. You are taking back your power, chosen one. You need to hear this. The people who hurt you are already carrying the weight of what they did. Heaven is dealing with them in ways you cannot see. Their sleepless nights, their internal turmoil, their unexplained struggles. These are not your concern. Your concern is your freedom. Your focus is your future. Your responsibility is your healing. Do not carry what heaven did not give you to hold. Do not fight battles. Heaven has already fought on your behalf. Release them to heaven and watch what happens next in your life. Chosen one, as we come to the close of this message, I want to leave you with this truth. You were never the one sinking. You were the one being lifted. Every jealous whisper, every plotted trap, every alliance formed in darkness has only testified to the light you carry. And now heaven is declaring over you that the transfer has already begun. You are standing in your appointed moment, the exact divine hour where what was withheld is released. What was delayed is accelerated, and what was stolen is returned in greater measure. Step into this next season with reverence and confidence. You are not walking into ordinary days. You are walking into anointed days, days where heaven goes before you, days where favor surrounds you, days where your name is spoken in rooms you have not yet entered. The downfall of those who targeted you is not your victory. It is your confirmation. It proves you were always chosen, always protected, always set apart. May clarity fill your mind. May strength rise in your spirit. May peace guard your steps, and may every door aligned with your purpose open without resistance. You are walking into your season of divine overflow. Everything you lost is being restored. Everything you sowed is being harvested. Everything you believed for is manifesting now. Before you go, do me a favor. If this word touched something deep inside of you, if you felt heaven speaking directly to your situation, leave a comment below and let me know. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Your testimony could be the confirmation someone else is waiting for. And if you want to stay connected to messages like this, subscribe so you never miss what heaven is releasing next. Chosen one, go in strength, go in light, go in absolute certainty. Your story is shifting and heaven is not finished with you. The best is yet to come together. We rise toward the light.